great honour for me to be here to celebrate the expansion of this amazing organisation, one that has provided care and kindness, love and support to so many families over nearly 4 decades. And that's what the Australian Vietnamese Women's Association has.
Cam Nguyen, she has an incredible story and she's done an incredible job with the AVWA. The association has prospered, the Vietnamese community has benefited incredibly, and more broadly I would say that the Victorian and Australian communities have really benefited from the passion and the hard work that she and her team have done for the last 40 years.
When we first arrived, there were very few Vietnamese. In '75, there were, I think, a couple of hundred. When we heard Vietnamese, when we went shopping, we were very happy and, start talking, oh, when did you come here? And that kind of thing, And then with Fraser being more open to Vietnamese refugees and the boat people, the arrivals increased. But Vietnamese refugees were particularly disadvantaged because Vietnamese is not an Indo-European language. I could see that language was a very great barrier. Language, culture were very great barriers. So I had the idea that Vietnamese refugees need special help. In 1982, I was thinking that our family was at last sufficiently settled, and that probably it was time for me to give back. In view of the fact that most Vietnamese professionals I know did not have the command of English or the qualifications that I had, I felt that if I didn't do anything to help the disadvantaged members of my community, then I would feel guilty later on. We come from a family with a tradition of philanthropy, but both my mother and my husband were very concerned about me looking after a family of 7 and having a full-time job with the education department. And they thought that I had enough on my plate, and so they tried to talk me out of the idea of starting an organization. I persevered and started ringing women professionals whom I knew and asked them what they thought about the idea of starting a women's organization which will focus on welfare only, which will not spend any time or resources on politics.
At that time, men and women association, they tend to do a lot of political. They don't look at how you live, but they said that fight for fight for freedom. They're very political, but we are apolitical.
Because there were a lot of Vietnamese associations at the time, almost all of them run by men, and they were all doing politics, writing articles, organizing demonstrations against the communist government of Vietnam. And I told my group of women professionals, what's the point of doing politics? We better concentrate on welfare only. And all the women I rang agreed. And therefore, 16 of us started the organization, which we call Australian Vietnamese Women's Welfare Association. Yes, when we started as an organization, the men in the community were afraid that we were going to let the women know about their rights so that they would become demanding and therefore challenge the position of their menfolk in the family.
Vietnamese men, our position is the head of the family. We need to be strict, we need to be the head of the family and guide our family members. So that mindset was there with me for such a long time.
There was that attitude, we were a bit rebels and, that kind of thing.
Our vision is for everyone. We're not saying that women association will serve only women. No, for the whole community, the disadvantage.
So having a women's association, I saw that we didn't fight at all. We didn't pinpoint at anyone else and saying that, oh, you are communist or you are bad, you are not good. We only concentrate on serving the Vietnamese community in the welfare and well-being areas.
We established on the 15th of January, 1983. Then 26th of January, with $100, we can make thousands of spring roll and we distribute at the Australia Day.
We started with nothing. After 6 months, we finalized our constitution and we had our first grant, which was $200. As our reputation and records improved, we applied for a very wide range of funding.
She applied at least 100 submissions. At that time, the funding successful, very, very rare.
From the beginning, I had a very human rights approach. When people first arrive, they have nothing but the clothes on their back.
I arrived in Australia in the middle of winter time. And we came from Thailand is summertime and came here like winter time. It's sort of like we got a very thin clothes and then we're very cold, very cold.
I came to Australia in 1980. I see the long, long story and the very terrible thing because of my family, include husband, myself, and 5 children, not older than 12 years old.
They put you on the boat and that's it. You can perish at the sea or you can arrive at your destination. No one cares about anything. And the boat is very small, but hundreds of people on that boat.
And then you come here, you have to face language barrier, culture barrier, culture differences, and you don't have any family support because your family sometimes scattered all over the world.
First, when I came to Australia, I'm really young. Back then, I've been so difficult to adapt Australian culture.
I found as young Vietnamese, it was sad because I was lonely. I couldn't speak English and I don't have much friends.
Most of the time, I just heard people, talking about Australian Vietnamese Women Association, mouth to mouth, and also newspaper. It's not just by the name that, for only women. It supports families.
When most of Vietnamese refugees come here, they come with nothing because they escape. So they come here, all they did is work very hard. Most of people my age come here, they started with sewing at home. and factory worker, and they work night and day, and they to start a new life.
Majority of the Vietnamese newly arrival couldn't find a job because they're limited of English or the skill required by employer. We try to approach the employer to talk to them about the hard work of the Vietnamese. So we try to support them to find a job and stay with the employment. It's tough. Yeah.
In the 1990s, we started having a number of good staff, of core staff, and at the same time tried a wide range of services, starting from very young kids to school kids and adolescents and middle-aged.
We have many staff work in many projects. For example, I work in 2 or 3 projects at the same time. Prisoner support, I also involved with the established Vietnamese playgroup. And later on, I involved with game support.
By the year 2003, 2004, a board could see that if we wanted to take the organization to another level of growth, we should have a CEO. So I became a CEO in May 2004. For the first time, our annual income passed the $1 million mark. And a member of parliament said, "You have joined the Millionaires Club." So that was in 2004, 2005.
In early 2000, that unemployment rate is very high. Many left the industry. They couldn't, support their family. Many young Vietnamese they start to do illegal things. In early 2000, there are a high number of Vietnamese in prison.
The biggest problem with Vietnamese community and Chinese community in the correction system are drug and alcohol and gambling.
When it comes to Vietnamese people, because we've had decades of war, drug, alcohol, criminality, I think bigger problems when people have a lot of traumas and big traumas.
Cultural speaking, Vietnamese people, we do not support prisoners at all.
Because there was no interest in helping those who are in prisons from all the other associations. And I thought, if no one else is interested in helping, then our organization should help. That's how we started.
AVWA, we took the program on, despite the fact that it wasn't supported by Vietnamese community members. I think that we are the only Vietnamese service provider that could do that, connecting all people inside and outside so that the Vietnamese people in prison feel like they are supported, feel like they are treated equally to others.
When I went to visit the prison and I was talking to the prison governor, he said to me, our Vietnamese population are quite highly educated. I said, what do you mean by that? And he explained that they have continued stable education from the early childhood into year 10 or year 11. That's stable. And then from that, I go with puberty, rebellious, and the pressure of VCE, and that where it breaks down.
The parents feel very resentful because why I sacrificed my whole life to come here. I risked my life to come here to work very hard for you, and you don't listen to what I say. And the situation, the culture are so different.
The children who are grown up in Australia, they are different. At home, they might be forced to speak Vietnamese at first, But then when they come into the education system, they learn different way of behaving, different way of speaking to adults and people around them. So they are lost in between the cultures and the languages.
The parents have no time to learn English. The children have no time to talk to parents to learn Vietnamese. So the gap is wider and wider.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow! Congratulations.
If you are working with Vietnamese people, you must understand the culture, and culture is embedded with the language too. So if we can speak Vietnamese, we constantly have the connection with our clients. They trust us instantly.
When we talk to each other, it's not just a matter of I and you. We don't have this like a neutral words of I and you. We always use relationship words. It's sister, brother, uncle, grandmother, or whatever. So when we talk to each other, it's a family relationship. Vietnamese refugees started coming in 1975. So that was 47 years ago. So someone, who was 35 is now 80. That's why the age services are so important in our community. And it's by far the biggest department of our organization.
Without us, Vietnamese elderly people would feel lost because they cannot speak English. They could not use the services provided by mainstream organizations, and their children are too busy working.
Some elderly people do not want or are hesitant to apply for age services because in their heart they believe that their children should look after them.
Bây giờ khó khăn thì chúng tôi rất là khó khăn, nói thiệt như vậy rồi. Thì cứ cố gắng là làm thôi. Thì nhờ là con đến đâu thì mừng đến đấy. Rồi cứ vậy thì làm mãi.
If you are an Australian citizen or you have been an Australian citizen for 20, 30 years, why not apply for those services available to citizens?
Hiện tại mình là nhân viên chăm sóc cho các bác cao niên. Thì mình đã làm cho Hội Phụ Nữ Việt Úc đã gần 5 năm rồi. Công việc hàng ngày của mình là giúp các bác tắm, nấu ăn, lau dọn nhà cửa, chở các bác đi chợ, đi nhà thờ, đi chùa, sinh hoạt hội.
Our parents feel immediately very comfortable to welcome the staff into their own home because there's no language or no cultural barrier.
Là gì? Mình chọn các bác người Việt là tại vì mình thương các bác, mình muốn giúp các bác lớn tuổi. Rồi khi mỗi lần mình gần gũi các bác thì mình thấy giống như là mình gần gũi cha mẹ hay người thân của mình vậy.
Cái gì cũng giúp đỡ hết, thì như trong gia đình mà mọi việc ấy thì trong hội cũng giúp. Rồi tất cả là vụ vì cũng giúp cho chúng tôi thì đỡ khổ, chứ còn thì nếu mà không thì cực lắm. Nếu không có hội giúp đỡ thì rất là cực.
So yes, our life, my parents' life and our life as a family have improved tremendously.
The services that we provide for Vietnamese elderly are very much needed and very much appreciated. Some of our elderly clients are so grateful to the workers as well as to the organization or to me.
Tên tôi là Nguyễn Thị Cảnh, 102 tuổi. Sao mà lại to gan như vậy mà dám ở một mình cái nhà này? Tôi bảo ơi chứ bây giờ số phận của mình không có ai cả thì mình cũng phải chịu đựng như vậy để mà có các chị em phụ nữ đến làm thì nó vui.
Rồi con làm đồ trắng miệng cho bà ha.
Có mà lại cũng yên trí nữa. Yên trí là vì các chị đến thì là mình có cơm ăn này, lại nhà cửa sạch sẽ này, các chị này nói chuyện vui vẻ này, thành thử ra mình cũng vui nữa.
You improve their quality of life and you just so happy, you feel so happy every single day that you get to go to work, you help other people.
Con cái là tại cái giường này thấp lắm, mình dùng cái tấm đó.
But also we want to maintain and improve our quality of service. Because you're not taking care of the clients, you need to taking care of the staff as well. The staff need to feel that they've been looking after. And then from that perspective, they will transfer that care to the clients.
When we recruit staff, we give them induction, train them, make them understand the core values of our organization.
A lot of community organizations have problems, internal problems, because of the lack of integrity. Maybe you can say that a person is 95% honest, but you cannot say that a person, the integrity of a person is 95%. No, it must be full 100%. In fact, all the core values are in some way related to each other.
So integrity, respect, inclusion, compassion, excellence, and then in the last few years, innovation.
The then former CEO taught me a lot in the way she treated our staff. We are all treated equally and with respect. And she kept reminding me that we have to support our staff to be able to support other people. That's the only way that we can grow together.
Nhưng mà rất là may mắn mình được chọn làm MC cho chương trình á, thì mình thấy rất là vui. Cái thứ nhất là mình mang được cái văn hóa của mình đến với các bé được sinh ra và lớn lên ở đây. Mình thì thực sự trước khi mà mình quyết định học về ngành Child Care Early Year Support á, thì mình có tìm hiểu rất là nhiều nguồn thông tin cũng như là những trung tâm đào tạo và những trường dạy nghề khác nhau. Thấy được rằng Hội Phụ nữ Việt Úc có những cái hỗ trợ rất là nhiều, rất là mạnh và rất là đặc biệt. Là chưa tốt nghiệp nhưng mà đã đều có những nơi mời để làm việc rồi.
I had two close friends who are studying at AVWA, and they told me about everything in here. They said that the training is so good. They support us, in assessments and everything, and they still can go to work while studying as well, and very flexible. When I graduate, they have been asked to prepare the resume. They're looking the work placement for us, and they also, looking somewhere that they need people, so they can introduce us to have the job straight away.
Play group, I love it because it's social network. The parents with the parents and the kids, they meet friends, bring out their confidence.
The AVWA has done so incredibly well over the last 40 years. My job is to understand what kind of services our community requires and how we can expand and grow upon the extreme success that has happened to date already.
We, the Vietnamese community here, we just keep getting better and better, and we can contribute a lot more to the Australian community, to the society in general.
Maintaining the culture and the language while helping our own community to stand on our own feet. That's my dream, and I'm living my dream.
There's probably an opportunity for us to be helping new refugees coming over. We've been through it now already. We've got the learnings from it. How can we help groups outside of the Vietnamese community? And we're absolutely open to that.
Sometimes I walk the shopping center and someone just came to me and thanked me, either for the service that they receive themselves or that their parents receive, you see. And, I feel very moved that our services are so much appreciated.